The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, we have a gaggle of people. I don't know, they're all teachers, but I think I used that word correctly. Principal of Southwest Grammar School, Scott Liska. Was that the proper use of the word gaggle?
I think so. Okay. The geese have been an issue at Southwest, so that ties in nicely. You may have noticed the coyotes, the fake coyotes that we've employed.
I was about to say, we got more to talk about on this show than I thought we had.
No, we have employed some fake coyotes that have just helped us keep our playground a little bit cleaner as the seasons change.
These folks from Southwest School, as well as County Commissioner John Daley, my guest on this episode of the EP Podcast, brought to you by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, located on the corner of 95th and Pulaski. Go on in there, see them today. See them for an account. See them for a HELOC loan. See them if you have a small business. I have my business account there. I have my personal accounts there. I have the kids' accounts there. The Junior Savers account for my littlest one. With a Junior Savers account, kids can earn interest on every dollar they deposit. They get to watch their money grow. They get a statement every month. You get to keep track of it, linked up to your accounts. Show your kids how fun and rewarding saving can be and set them up for success. No minimum to open up that Junior Savers account. The First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. I had a child. My youngest spent 1 year over at your school, had a wonderful experience. And of course, his teacher came down here, they've already had their reunion. It was such a big deal because it was a couple years ago and it was during COVID, but I'm going to let you introduce everybody here. We'll get to that at some point, but who do you have here with us?
For sure. So I have a variety from different grade levels, going from primary to upper grade. We have Julie O'Connor, who teaches kindergarten, Colleen Cushing, who teaches second grade, and then two members from our fourth grade team, Ali Grazovich, who teaches math, and Laura Sullivan, who teaches some science, social studies, and social emotional learning.
Such an interesting range too, because my son Nick was in kindergarten with Julie, and then he's in fourth grade now. So we're right in the range here, man. Sure. I've got this all down. This is awesome. So first off, I'll start off with a great story before we get going. So Julie came in, and I didn't recognize her because the only time we met was over Zoom when they were doing the Zoom classes during COVID. He got to see her, but again, everybody was wearing a mask. So it's something like, I looked right at you and you're like, you know me. I'm like, I don't know you, which is like the funniest thing ever. And then we were also laughing because we were down in Clearwater Beach like last year, and we just happened to drive by her while she was on the sidewalk, and Nick saw her. So we keep bumping into each other. How are you?
Good. How are you? I can't get rid of you guys, which is a good thing. I'm glad about that. I was very excited to see Nick. He's doing great. And yeah, I really enjoyed having him in kindergarten.
Oh, that's awesome. I wish you still had him because then you can enjoy him beating on the drums because that's what he picked up. He is the kind of kid that would, of all musical instruments, what can I make the most noise out of? Yeah, for sure. Exactly. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what's going on over at Southwest right now. I am familiar with the school. Like I said, I had a kid that was in there for a little while, and I love the school. I had a great experience when I was there. But it sounds to me like you guys have gotten some, is it awards, distinction? Take me through what this actually is.
Yeah, so every year around this time, the Illinois Department of Education, ISB, State Board of Education, releases their school report cards. So it's an important time for schools just to look back on some of the progress they've made around different metrics. And what they do as part of that school report card is they assign a ranking or a designation. And we talk a little bit about this at school board meetings, but there are 3 designations, and they range from targeted to commendable all the way up to exemplary.
And you really want exemplary.
You really want exemplary.
Yeah, targeted is like you didn't do very well.
Yeah.
Right? So you guys, I would assume, if you're on the show talking about it, got exemplary.
Yeah, we are really excited about that. When those rankings came out, it's something we've been chasing for the last couple of years as a staff, and have flirted with that a couple of times. But exemplary is a really big deal because it means you are performing in the top 10% of schools in the state of Illinois. And to put that in perspective, there are, I think, 3,039 elementary schools in the state that are part of this report card. And so that means we're in the top 300, which is just truly an amazing accomplishment and a testament to the staff, the students, and the community that rallies behind our school.
That is amazing. And, that's a big deal. And I think that we get used to the accolades for schools in Evergreen Park because we always hear so many of them. We hear them for the high school. We hear them for District 124. I mean, we're kind of spoiled here. Like, it's something that I've kind of tried to remind people of. Like, you're surrounded on three sides by CPS. This isn't the same as CPS. In fact, I think I made Dr. Woodland, your superintendent, laugh out loud last time she was on the show when I compared it. She's like, no, we're not the same. Because it isn't. You guys, you bring in these things. Is it something where it comes as a directive from above? Like, hey, we're an excellent system. We need to keep these things up. Or is this something that comes naturally just because you're doing a good job and just getting recognized for it?
Yeah, I mean, the school report card is a complicated, set of dynamics and metrics that come together. And it really is a collection of initiatives and scoring around things. So, for example, you get a certain amount of points for different categories. And one of them is how proficient are your students in math and reading? How many of your kids, what percentage of those kids are on grade level, are achieving the meeting expectations on the state test? But that only accounts for a small percentage of the overall school report card. For us, that's 15%. 15 out of 100 possible points goes to that proficiency. And so a school can't attain and achieve exemplary status just on proficiency alone. They have to take into account all of the other things. You have to grow your students who are receiving academic support, and you have to grow your students who are receiving enrichment. And so it really takes a whole team effort, which is why I thought it was important to have teachers from across grade levels to talk about some of the work that we've been doing. Because at the end of the day, for us, 53% of our score is student growth and how well our students are growing on math and reading.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So who's an expert here? Who do you want to throw this to? Who's going to talk about what they're doing? Does it start at the kindergarten level? Do you want to go with the fourth grade? The fourth grade teachers are standing in the back. Like, I feel so bad for them, right? They're standing in the back. Like, we have so many people down here. I had to put a microphone behind the bar. Like, we're really standing back there. Ladies, can you kind of talk a little bit about what you're doing in the fourth grade and why it's different in Southwest, what you're doing, and why you're getting these accolades?
So we recently had in the last couple of years, we had a shift in administration, superintendent, curriculum director, at our district office. And because of that, they've changed a couple of our curriculum materials. And, from our old one to our new one, it addresses more of the state standards on a deeper level. Meaning we just have more time to cover those things before the state testing happens. And then beyond that, too, the kindergarten, first, second grade works really hard to make sure the kids are at a good level so we can focus on fourth grade curriculum in fourth grade, not covering as many gaps that they may have had previously.
One of the things I'm curious about, since I have two fourth grade teachers, is I always wonder, like, is it important that the two of you get along? Because, think about that. I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I remember going through grammar school. I went to St. Denis, over on 83rd and St. Louis.
Yeah.
And there were times where I could tell that the teachers that were the same grade didn't like each other, but just happened to be there. And then there were times you could tell they actually went out to dinner with each other. So I would imagine it's easier, since you have kids that are at the same level, that you have a good working relationship, right?
Yeah. So it's different. This is our third year departmentalized, right? So previously I had the same class all day, taught reading, science, social studies, math to all of them. And now that we're departmentalized, we do work very closely, but it's just, we're friends. We would go out to dinner all the time. There's no hard feelings. But just we more collaborate on the student as a whole overall instead of curriculum materials because we don't teach the same thing.
Yeah, and you never know where you're going to bump into your student. I bumped into my fourth grade teacher for the first time in decades just a couple of days ago. It's a crazy, and she recognized me, which is weird because I'm 47. And there was no way that you should be able to look at me and be like, that's that kid when he was 10 years old. And she picked me right out and told me who she was. So It happens. And you think about that with all the kids. And her key was, and if either of you here at the bar would tell me if you do the same thing, she never switched the seats. She knew exactly where I was. She was like, you used to sit 3 back on the window side back in, what would it have been, 1987. That's crazy to me. Do you guys switch around the kids? Yes. Do you think you could ever remember a kid that far into the future?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, well, I've been teaching for 36 years.
Okay.
So I started in kindergarten. So technically the kids that I taught are in their 40s that started. And then also I was in the junior high in the late 90s, early 2000s. So like Miss Grozovich was there when I was teaching. So yeah, I've seen the whole...
Is that weird to you? Like,
Yes. Yeah, because I'm only 40, so I don't know how they could be the same age as me.
How could this be
they
possible?
caught up. It's crazy.
And you look like a very young 40 too. So I mean, if you don't mind me
thanks.
saying,
That's
so
even
yeah.
farther ahead than I thought. But it is weird. I've kept contact with them too. But the boys, when I was into junior high, they would come back, like 3 or 4 years later and walk into my classroom and be like, "Mrs. O'Connor." But now their voice was completely different. They were taller than me. So the boys sometimes were a little bit harder than the girls. The girls don't
I think you
seem
could
to
pick
change
out
that
girls
much.
years and
Yes,
years later.
yes.
Like my daughter is in college and I ran into one of her friends walking around the U of I campus. And before she recognized me, I recognized her.
Yeah.
And I think I coached her in softball when she was really little, lower than this bar top. Okay.
They don't look much
and they don't look much different.
No.
But I couldn't pick out any of my son's friends from what they looked like 3 years ago.
Yes.
It's crazy how they changed. That's why it was surprising that she actually recognized me. So the other two grades, you're in kindergarten, and then is it second grade?
Second grade,
Okay, so
yes.
what's going on in second grade I should know about?
So second grade, similar to what Allie said, our new curriculum, I will piggyback off what Allie said. I think it really has helped. It helps engage the kids more. We recently got a new reading curriculum last year, and math was the year before. So they're exposed to so many more topics that they weren't seeing before. A lot of social studies topics and science topics. So they're getting deeper into nonfiction. I think it's been a huge help to our school and for the kids, and then also, like Allie said, helping fill those gaps before they get to the older grades.
Do you feel like these kids are further along than they were? I mean, maybe Miss
Yes.
O'Connor could say this, but I mean, anybody who's been around, it feels like they're smarter now.
They are.
Like, I don't feel like I was as smart as my son.
We just got done learning about ancient Asian civilizations.
Yeah.
So the kids got to learn about Diwali and Chinese New Year and Hinduism and Buddhism, and they were so engaged. They loved it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do with that.
Right. And
Yeah.
then they like last year and this year, they absolutely loved it. So it's things like that they're exposed to now that I think it makes coming to school more interesting.
But it also feels like they're just sharper, right? I mean, it just seems like some of the stuff that they're working on, I'm just really surprised, like at that level. And I even see it at the high school level with my son and my daughter. When my kids ask me for help on their homework, I laugh at them. I go, I don't know as much as you do. It feels like sometimes. I mean, I would assume you see it at every level. Do you even see it at kindergarten? Are they coming in smarter somehow? Because we had Sesame Street, but now they got these little computers and stuff like that they get when they're 3 years old, and it seems like they're just sharper when they come walking in.
Particularly at Southwest, one of the advantages we have in the kindergarten grade is that most of our students come in with 2 or 3 years of preschool. So, and a lot of times those preschools are not a daycare. It actually is, a reputable, school that knows where their kids need to go in order to be ready for kindergarten, whether it's a community center here in Evergreen Park or it's one of the private schools, the Castle, Peter Pan, one of these other ones. And I just feel like the parents have invested their time and money and then carry over what's happening in preschool. So I do remember teaching kindergarten, and if they could write their name and they knew their alphabet by the end of the year, then that was considered like successful. And now, again, with the new programs that we have, there is research in the science of reading backing these programs, and we just know better now how to teach a child how to read. And so there's been a huge shift in how we change things and, what we're doing. And I mean, you probably remember Nick's journal that they would write every morning.
Yeah, I remember everything about that year. I was going to school with him. Are you kidding me? Like, I was on the screen for the first half of it, and then he went into the classroom, but I was on the screen at the beginning. Yeah.
But if especially a personality like Nick had, like they love to write and share their expressions, and I see that with the kids all the time. And so when they find that writing is the way to get that out and express themselves, they get really excited about it. But this is all backed by a lot of this curriculum that has come about through the change of this new administration. But even when this came, the teachers were all involved in the selection of this. So I feel like there's a total buy-in to all of this because
this is a group thing. Scott's not just telling you what you're doing.
Correct. Or somebody at the district office isn't saying this is the program that you're doing, and we all know based on our experiences and things that this is not going to work. This came from, again, the proper, formation of these committees and the process of the teachers having a lot to say that these administrators have trusted us and valued our opinion, and then it comes about these great programs that we're able to implement, not only at Southwest, but across the entire district. So I think that's important too.
I love hearing that because I don't know how often you all listen to the EP podcast or view the videos, but we had Dr. Woodland in here, and we've had a couple people come in here, but I remember her distinctly telling me that one of the things that she tries to do is make sure that they're taking input at the higher level. And you always hear that from like somebody who's a boss, and you're like, yeah, everybody says they have an open door policy, but are they actually listening? And you, without me even asking, we're like, yeah, we're involved in how this whole thing works. I think that's really interesting.
It's a huge shift. And so I think that has a lot to do with the success of the schools as well, because the teachers just know that what we're doing every day is solid work, and we have the resources and the curriculum and the support to make sure that those things are happening in our classroom.
First of all, I want to say thanks for all of you coming down here and joining me, and congratulations on what you're doing over there. It sounds like it's going really well, and you got a heck of a team here. That, like, it's funny, like, I've got a big group down here, and they all seem to speak with pretty much the same voice. You can see you got everybody on the same page, and that's good to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It's now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. An incredible array of wines, amazing small plates, a perfect place for date night, a night out with friends, 21 and over. And remember, find something you like there when you're tasting the wine. Walk out with a bottle from the wine shop. See everything they have to offer at SpokenVineWines.com. In the village of Evergreen Park, curbside leaf pickup has begun. The truck is going to rotate between quadrants. Be patient. Remember, the village wants you to fill up the yard waste bin or yard waste bags before putting extra on the curb. Meanwhile, the village has rebranded their holiday event this year. It is now called Santa's Wonderland, and Santa Claus comes to town on Saturday, December the 7th from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Community Center, 3450 West 97th Street. Remember, this was the Dickens Festival. Now the festival is bringing back some of the old stuff and bringing new favorites, including a Rain Dog Pet Parade. Mark it down on your calendars. Tickets are also available for the Sounds of the Season Christmas concert at Most Holy Redeemer Church on December the 15th at 7 p.m. This is the annual free concert from the City Lights Orchestra. Rich Daniels on this show before. Interesting guy. If you missed that interview, go back and check out the video on YouTube or the actual podcast at theeppodcast.com. Tickets are first come, first serve. You get up to 4 tickets per person. Get them at the Rec Department, 3450 West 97th Street while you can. Evergreen Park Community High School is hosting a fun youth night for all EP residents 5th through 8th grade. Basketball, kickball, volleyball, football, golf, dodgeball, and other games. Bring a water bottle over and join them Tuesday the 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the EPCHS Sports Complex at 2700 West 91st Street. Get more details at evergreenpark.org. And mark your calendars, Monday, December the 9th at 6 p.m. The EPCH Magical Choir is going to be over at the library. Browse an exhibit of student artwork and listen to the choir sing to kick off the holiday season. Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, we have a new guest. I've never had one down here before. County Commissioner John Daley's here. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for being glad to be with you this morning.
You're one of the best dressed guests I've had.
Yeah, well, I'm going to a memorial after this.
I've had state senators. I've had U.S. senators. None of them put on a suit for me.
But I'm going to a memorial.
After this. I'm sorry to hear about that. But you look good. And I think we're gonna change the dress code here. We're gonna have people step it up a little bit more when they come down here and sit.
Well,
in my
everyone
basement.
should do their own thing.
So explain this for me, because we were just talking beforehand, and I didn't realize until that moment how little I know about Cook County government, what a county commissioner does, the effect that you have on me locally. You know, I was telling you my background. I worked for the county government for 10 years because I was working for the sheriff's police as a 911 dispatcher. And even as a 911 dispatcher, who I know eventually in my big tree of who's above me, all the way up past the sheriff, I didn't understand exactly how the government worked that I was actually working for. So do you find that as a normal thing that people don't get what you do?
Most people relate to their local government. Yeah. Whether it be the city of Chicago, and here we're in Evergreen Park, and they relate to that, to their park district, library district. In Cook County, yes, you're absolutely right. People don't really relate to it, but we're responsible for public safety, public health. Our budget this year is $9 billion. The vast majority of that is public safety and health. So we work right Cook County Health. We run Stroger Hospital, Providence Hospital, a number of clinics. So we're responsible for providing anyone who needs services could come to Stroger Hospital or any of our facilities. In reference to public safety, needless to say, as you know, it's the sheriff, the state's attorney, the clerk, the chief judge. So that's the vast majority of the budget. The president's office is maybe 10% of the entire budget. So we have 22,000 employees, and I say the vast majority of them do hard work every single day, serving the people of the county. But you're absolutely right. I served in the Illinois House and the Senate as well, and that was a great experience, meeting the members throughout the state. And I found too, even though you pass legislation in Springfield, people always relate back to local government. I'm proud to say in this budget, we'll be passing in the 21st of the month. We will have, it's a balanced budget, no taxes and no layoffs in our workforce.
So one of the pictures that I had of the county from working on the sheriff's police side, I learned in the end, if all of a sudden a police department in Cook County went under, because that happened while I was there, just disappeared. It was really the sheriff's responsibility to now take over. And is it similar? Is that how the county works as a whole? If there's ever a hole in terms of something's unincorporated or some village, city, town is unable to do something, is it the county as a whole that jumps in?
Yes, especially in reference to public safety.
Okay.
That's where the sheriff has come in. And they're doing that because the local governments cannot provide, because of the increase of the labor for their local police department or the inability to run it. It is becoming a bigger problem as we look forward. And a number of municipalities are looking to the sheriff to provide this assistance in their various departments. And so we step in, yes, when necessary with ARPA dollars too. Most recently, we had ARPA dollars, and we've done a tremendous job in helping local governments as well as municipalities that really are in need, whether it be flooding assistance, and guaranteed income, which is totally separate, we did in providing services for the people of this county.
Is it safer to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it safer to say that when it comes to county government, because I imagine you is very similar to any other governing body, okay? You have a president that's above you, and then you have a bunch of commissioners, and you all have different districts, and it splits up the county in the map. But it seems like most of what you do is budgeting, making sure that you have the services that are available, the medical services, the law enforcement services, all those things like that, more than passing laws. Am I right to see it that way?
Yes and no. We have, that's absolutely right. We enter and work with governments, and we provide, in this most recent with ARPA, that we had $1 billion. We branched out and offered government's assistance. We provided assistance to, here in Evergreen Park, we do Invest and Cook, where the various municipalities, not only Evergreen, but any municipality throughout the county could apply for Invest and Cook. Those are dollars that we invest in coming in, providing services, whether it be on sidewalks through the highway department or other small business assistance. We also help the rental assistance, which is a big provider, as well as through the equity fund. So in reference to legislation, we can pass legislation, whether it be family leave, paid leave, or sick pay. But then if a municipality wants to opt out, they can if they're home rule government.
Evergreen is under you or partially under?
Evergreen is under the.
In terms of your district, is Evergreen in your district?
Yes, I divide the district with Commissioner Moore.
Okay.
I used to have more of it, but in the most recent redistricting, Commissioner Moore, Stan Moore, who is a great friend, outstanding commissioner, has gained more of it. So my district is mainly south of 95th Street.
Oh, so I'm
into Pulaski, in Pulaski. It cuts around, so it's we're at night. So this.
I'm at 99th and Homan.
Yes, that would be in the district.
Okay. All right. I just want to figure out if you're my guy.
Yes, I'm your guy. So you need any services, any problems?
I'll make you a list.
But as I said, we work with the municipalities for their needs, and they have to apply. And many times it's surprising, even on small business assistance, that people don't apply. And there is dollars out there, is dollars through ARPA, but they must apply, and there's a form that the county will assist them. If the small business doesn't have the mechanism to provide for grants or that, we will work with municipalities in helping them get assistance on grants.
I will tell you, and this is just a story, kind of an anecdote to that, because I know how difficult everything was with COVID and coming out of COVID and things like that. But I did actually apply for one of those at one point, and then I got an email that said we're going to restart the thing. Mm-hmm. And I think as a business owner, I was kind of like, oh, I don't have the time. And that might have been one of the things that kind of like pushed me away, was we're going to restart the thing. So are you finding that you're doing a better job of keeping those businesses in the loop?
You're right, but it's also educating people, and a good percent of people just say, well, I don't want to be embarrassed. Can't do this. I'm embarrassed.
No, I want your money.
Right. They don't want to be embarrassed they say they can't do the form.
Right.
We will assist you. And the county, through the Economic Department, Bureau of Economic Development, will assist them. They work with local mayors. We have outreach in the community. Anytime there's a grant provided, we put it out to all the chambers of commerce and all that to apply. And again, you must apply if you want to be in the mix and try to receive some dollars.
So there's a lot of money we're talking about here.
Yeah, as you know, it's coming to an end, because ARPA will be coming to an end. So there's still dollars out there, and I think we've done a good job on it in providing, especially in the district, and Commissioner Moore has been a good ally on that. As well as there's 17 commissioners, and as you indicated, we're elected by districts. So that started in 1994. Prior to that, there were 10 elected from the city and 7 from the suburbs. So in 94, we went to districts, which is more accountability for the commissioners, or for the public, I should say.
So when we're thinking about all this, because we were talking about the budget, the hospitals, the police department, we talk about a lot of money and a lot of things that the county can do. Does that money come exclusively from my property taxes? Where does that come from?
Yes, the vast majority comes through your property tax, and then the sales tax, and other small taxes, other taxes that you would pay as an individual. The sales tax. We did not do the beverage tax. As you remember, there was a tax. I've seen a lot of tax that created opposition. The beverage taxes was probably the worst tax that was provided, or suggested, I should say.
Oh, I remember not being happy with that.
Yes, and not only you, we received, but I did try when people call my office on any issue, I try to call them back personally. In the beverage tax and other, like the sales tax, I called at least 1,100 people back. Myself, they were very shocked that I was calling them back. Or my sister, I'd get on the phone and they say, "Is this really Commissioner Daley?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And then, I might disagree. They might disagree with me on why we needed the tax, the sales, or the beverage especially the sales. But with the respect to me, that I at least have the respect for them and calling them back.
No, I actually like that. I like the idea that you want to call.
The sales tax but the sales tax then provided, when we implemented it, the sales tax, a good percent of that goes for additional money for people's pensions, as well as highways and other improvements. But the beverage tax, getting back to that, was probably was not well thought, and it was then we did not implement it, as you know.
Going back to the property tax thing, we've had a lot of talk here in Evergreen Park about people's property taxes. They went up a little bit, right? And school districts have been in to kind of explain that, where the money goes. It seems to be a thing that keeps coming up. I had State Senator Bill Cunningham in here recently, and he was talking about it as well. And, his hope down in the legislature that they could find a better way to fund education, because that is the thing that's hitting property tax the most. When it comes to the county, I know we were talking before we sat down here. It sounds like the county could be actually increasing certain things, but aren't doing it. Can you take me through that?
We have not raised our levy, which is a force, as you know, that drives property tax. So we have not raised our levy since 1996, and that is the driving force. The levies, municipalities, school districts, library districts, park districts. Once they raise their levy, that's the main driving force. The other factor is when the assessor comes out and does the assessment. Bill Cunningham's absolutely right, and I think there's a task force to say, okay, if we get off property tax, where do we go? A new type of taxing for the state to provide the services that we need. Is it a mill which is based upon I think Michigan has it based upon when your revenues go up, your spending will go. If it goes down, you cut your spending. People want accountability, and it's very apparent that the more accountability you have, and I think in this area you have great schools, and people want good schools, but your teachers want better pay, and they deserve better pay, and so that whatever formula they come up with, California had where you buy a home, the taxes were frozen at one time until you resell it, and then if I buy it, then it's based upon the new formula. So I think hopefully there's an in between, because. But though education has always, whether you be in Evergreen, Chicago, education is the vast majority of your bill on your property tax.
You talk about the accountability thing. Before I let you go, I'm curious your take on this. I was telling you beforehand, I did 10 years of morning radio, and then I worked in a police department. So trust me when I say I've had people be critical of me before. Like, I always laugh now with social media that a tweet doesn't bother me, because somebody used to have to actually write a letter on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope, stick a stamp on it, walk down to the mailbox, and mail something that said that they hated me. So now tweets don't bother me that much. But it also seems like you see more politicians, more public servants understand that's what people want, is accountability. So do you think it comes from the fact that people can get their voice out there more with the social media, or are the phone calls and the people meeting you still more effective? Because I just let social media bounce off me, but I think that there's a section of the world that thinks, well, if I go on and I complain online, that's how I get things done.
I think it's a combination of both. I mean, you cannot say tweets does not mean anything. It does. If you see a constant thing coming out against your office or the county, that has to be taken into accountability. But I really believe the more individuals get out there and have personal contact with their community, that means a lot.
John Daley's your Cook County Commissioner for a portion of Evergreen Park, and he was nice enough to come sit down here and talk with us on the EP podcast. And thank you so much for sitting down.
Thank you. It's an honor. I want to congratulate you. This is a new way to reach out to people. I've enjoyed serving the people of Evergreen Park. It's been working with Kelly Burke as mayor and the trustees, and they do an outstanding job.
It's the EP podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP podcast. Evergreen Park.